Batman vs. Superman is on the horizon, and moviegoers everywhere will finally get to see the Caped Crusader square off against the Man of Steel. Who will win? Who knows? Unless, of course, you've been playing 2008's Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Yep, that's right. Mortal Kombat, the super violent fighting game where heroes kill each other at the end of their matches versus the DC Universe, known for its heroes who won't kill no matter what. I know, it's right there in the title. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. It's weird. It's weird. Why those two properties? Firstly, it's not just a DC characters fighting each other game. I feel like that would sell well enough on its own. But no, this game has Mortal Kombat characters in it. There is a 2013 pseudo-sequel from the same developer called Injustice that is just DC characters, but for this game, the Mortal Kombat characters are there. For those of you who do follow these sorts of things, the Mortal Kombat games are now owned by Warner Bros. Interactive, and Warner Bros. Of course owns DC Comics, so you might think that this was just a product of corporate synergy. But when this game was made in 2008, Mortal Kombat was still owned by Midway, and Midway didn't collapse until after this game came out. So, my only guess is that DC thought that Marvel vs. Capcom was super popular and wanted to do the same thing. You may have heard of Marvel vs. Capcom. It's a fighting game that pits the Marvel superheroes against Capcom's stable of characters, which is mostly Street Fighter, but also like Mega Man and characters from Resident Evil. And why shouldn't DC have a similar fighting game? For a modern fighting game, the cast of characters is relatively small, certainly smaller than Marvel vs. Capcom 2. At the start of the game, it's got 10 Mortal Kombat characters and 10 DC Universe characters, with 2 more unlockable. Over the last 20 years, the Mortal Kombat cast has gotten rather bloated as new characters keep popping up. This isn't unique to Mortal Kombat. I mean, Street Fighter and Super Smash Bros. Also have a huge amount of playable characters now. And Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe prunes the Mortal Kombat cast down to characters from really just the first 2 games, classic characters like Liu Kang and Sonya Blade and Scorpion. I mean, I haven't really been interested in Mortal Kombat since Mortal Kombat 3, so as a lapsed Mortal Kombat fan, the smaller, more recognizable cast was good for me. And this game also allows you to select if you want to play opponents on the DC side, Mortal Kombat side, or both. So if you really just wanted to play a DCU game and don't care at all about Mortal Kombat, you can just play that way. Or if you love Mortal Kombat and don't understand why Batman and Superman have invaded your game, you can just kick out the DC characters. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe is also a weird game because it's the first and only Mortal Kombat game to receive a T rating. Mortal Kombat famously is a super bloody game where its combatants beat each other senselessly. There's pools of blood everywhere, and characters are encouraged to actually kill their opponents with a fatality. Not just win the fight, but straight up murder them. Usually by ripping their head off with the spine still hanging on, or any manner of over-the-top gratuitous violence. And as a series, Mortal Kombat is so violent, it's the reason we have a rating system in the United States. The ESRB, the group that hands out the E or the T or the M you see on all games, was created as a direct reaction to Mortal Kombat. And in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, every uppercut or hard punch does unleash a comically large spurt of blood, just like the classic Mortal Kombat. But the fatalities have been nerfed a bit, and some of the heroes, like Batman and Superman, can't perform fatalities at all. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe is also weird because it has a legit, real story mode. In the early Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat games, there was some hint of a story in the instruction manuals and screen stills during the attract mode. So-and-so's fighting in this tournament to avenge their best friend. So-and-so's arranged a big tournament, and that's why everybody's here. And that explained why all these characters were gathered and why you're playing with your friends in the arcade or at home. And there was a single-player mode, but it mostly was just a mode where you picked your favorite character and just played through every other character in the game. However, the story mode in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe takes a different approach. There are 2 campaigns, the DC side and the Mortal Kombat side. Both sides are divided into chapters, and in each chapter you are forced to play as a character that the game dictates. So you have to play as Green Lantern, although it's just for 4 fights. And then the narrative will transition over to Captain Marvel for 4 fights. And in so doing, you end up playing as nearly everyone in the game. This mode forces you to get legitimate time with every character and discover what playstyle you excel at. Because let's face it, if this wasn't the case, I would just play as Batman all the time, every time. But I've learned that I'm a beast with fast, light characters like Joker and don't really get the slower, heavier characters. And without being forced to play as Joker, I don't think I would have realized how much fun he is to play as. Because he has a bunch of fun, little weird, silly moves. I haven't exactly broken it down and analyzed it, but it seems like every chapter is designed to pit the character against the full range of character types. That way you can learn how someone like the Green Lantern fights against fast characters and slow characters and characters who are heavy on projectiles. I feel like it's teaching you how to approach fighting game problems so you'll be better online or at least in multiplayer matches. Now, please pardon me, I'm not a fighting game expert. I played Street Fighter and Smash Bros. And Mortal Kombat with friends over the last 25 years, but I don't really understand the high-level techniques like counting frames or exploiting imbalances between characters or really knowing how to counter with, if they do this, then I should do that. I don't get that. I barely know a few special moves and combos. I'm mostly just a button masher. What I am is a casual fighting game fan. I just want to beat up my friends and look cool doing it. So, in this game, what is the story? Why are the DC universe and the Mortal Kombat universe versus each other? I don't really know. Something with the universes overlapping, and DC villain Darkseid and Mortal Kombat villain Shao Kahn have merged into a super being called Dark Khan. I like the concept of story mode for giving context to fights and making me play as everybody, but I'll admit it's not necessarily a good story. A lot of the time, it's classic comic book misunderstandings. You're in a costume and I don't know who you are. Let's fight. Or somebody's possessed by something and they have yellow eyes and that's okay for their friends to beat up their other friends. Although the story isn't particularly great or memorable, I do enjoy it. And I definitely miss the story mode when I play other fighting games like Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom. I feel like playing the single-player mode in those games is just spinning my wheels to win a bunch of fights that don't amount to anything. And as an experience, the story mode is one of the main reasons Mortal Kombat is my favorite fighting series. This mode carries over into the sequels Mortal Kombat 9 and Mortal Kombat X and Injustice Gods Among Us, and it's really just a fun way to structure a fighting game. And again, I can't stress this enough. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe and Injustice are the only places where you and your friends can battle Batman vs. Superman and who'd really win. P.S. It's Batman. Thank you for watching That Was a Game, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Thank you.